Hi there, and how are you today? How are you feeling? So, how are you going with the videos? Let me know in the comments which videos you prefer, what information you want to know, what you're interested in, what you're curious about. In this video, I want to share with you what your spirit guides want you to know. It's very simple. I'll give you a guess. See if you can guess. Let me know in the comments. What do you think your spirit guides want you to know? Did you guess? Have you written it down in the comments? I'm just giving you a minute. So pause the video because I'm going to continue in a minute anyway. All right. So if you've already made your comments, let me know what you think your spirit guides want you to know today. I have one big one to share with you. And as the months progress, whatever else comes up, I will share that with you as well. But today, number one, and the most important one, is to ask. Ask your spirit guides to reveal themselves. Ask your spirit guides to be with you. Ask. This is what they want you to know. Ask. There's really two steps. Trying to think whether there's two or three. The first one is always to ask. Because we have free will, the beings on the other side, whether it's the spirit guides, whether it's the angels, whether it's your ancestors, everything that is on the other side cannot communicate with you unless you ask. Because of your free will. You have free will. And if you say that they don't exist, they don't exist. Even though they're there. Because of your free will. Whatever you believe, whatever you focus on creates your reality, and they're not allowed to interfere with that at all. So the first thing and the most important thing is that you need to ask. You need to ask them to come forward. You need to invite them into your life. Invite them. I always say we invite Archangel Michael to be with us. And then I can feel him coming into the space. I invite you. Please be with me is another way that I ask them to come. Please come be with me. In the early days when I used to do Reiki, when I first started, my angels would appear in this space far, far away, this tiny space. I could barely see them. I knew they were there. I had called them in and I knew they were there, but they were so far away. And I spent about a good 3 months with them up there, far away in this, I'm not sure what you'd call it, but this space, I guess, in heaven. And they'd be up there. And I kept calling them in and they kept showing up there. And then one day I was doing this special, not special, but it was actually the one, I did Reiki distance healing on this lady in Canada. And I had quite a few sessions with her, but it was through her that I got to witness that what I was seeing, the visions I was having, later, she's a medium as well, and she was relaying what she was seeing on her side, and we were seeing exactly the same thing. So, but she's not the only one that's confirmed things, so not everyone I've done healing on or the Reiki on are mediums or psychics or all that sort of thing, Anyway, so for the first few months they would stay all the way up there. I could see them just barely up there. And that day when I did that Reiki healing on this lady in Canada, I remember as if it was now, right? This moment. I called in Archangel Michael. And he came and he stood smack in front of me. Like I could see him, like he was standing right there. And as soon as he did that, I started crying. The tears were just pouring. Because I could feel the love coming in from him. It was pouring over me and I was overwhelmed, And then as I called in Archangel Gabriel, he came in and he stood right here on my right. And the same, as soon as I saw him come in again, I was like, I just recovered from that one. I started crying because he was here. And then I called in Archangel Raphael, and he's huge. He came in, standing behind me, and I could see him, and I could feel the love coming through from these three beings. And then I called in Archangel Uriel, and with Uriel, for some reason, I didn't have a strong connection yet. I didn't know her that well. I just felt compelled to call her in. I don't know why. I always did from the beginning. So I called her in, and I was just in that moment so overwhelmed with love that they were here around me in my space. You know, it was like, it took me a good, I think, 20 to 30 minutes to recover after they came in. But because you're doing distance healing, the person on the other side doesn't know how long you go for. You don't, you tell them what time you start when you're doing a distance healing. And I think it was something like 8 o'clock in the morning or 7:30. It was quite early. 7:30 in the morning here because of where she is over there. Or 8 o'clock here, I forget. It was early here in the morning, and it was, anyway. So, it took me forever to compose myself. And then, I had to think, well, hang on, I'm doing a session for someone here. I have to, keep going. Okay, so what had happened that day was that I was calling them in more often. And it got to a point where they felt comfortable actually coming into my space. Because up to that point, I didn't feel worthy of having them in my space. I didn't feel good enough to have them in my space. And even though at that moment that they did that, they came in and I was overwhelmed with all those tears, I accepted that love that came in. So it's up to you in every moment. They will keep their distance, and even then I could barely see them, but before that they didn't appear at all. Why? Because I never called on them. I never asked them to be present. So how can they appear in my reality when I don't believe in their existence? To me, it was not a possibility. It wasn't something that could be real at the time. They couldn't possibly exist. And because that was my reality, that's what I believed, was that they kept their distance. And even when I started working with them and calling them in, they would stay way up there, way up high. And with time, they came down when they knew that I would be ready for them to be here, to be present with me. So all you have to do is ask them to come in. Ask and you shall receive is true. You need to ask. And then you need to be open to what appears. Open. You don't know what's going to come through. And most of the time it's going to be something that's going to blow you away. It's not what you're going to be expecting. When I see the angels that I see, I've looked online and I can't find one image that looks like any of them. They all look completely different to me than what I find on the internet or anywhere else. Anywhere that I see a picture of Archangel Michael looks nothing like the angel that I see. And the same with Gabriel. And Uriel is the most curious because usually she comes in as a crow. A black crow. I don't know why. I don't question it. That's how she appears. So today I invite you, if it's a yearning that you have within you, to speak to your spirit guides or to speak to your ancestors or to speak to angels or whoever is on the other side that you feel a strong connection to, be it Buddha, be it Jesus, be it Mother Mary, anyone that's on the other side. in other realms. Ask them to come. Ask them to be present with you, and then be patient. You may not be able to see them, but you may be able to hear something. Maybe a word is given to you. Sit with them. I might do a meditation for you, yeah, in the next video, where we can sit with them and see what information comes through. And sometimes they may not speak to you in that moment. Maybe something doesn't come up then. You may not have a visual. A lot of people don't see them. They can feel them. They can feel something. But then look, in the next few days when you ask questions, look for signs. It may be in the next Facebook post that you read. It may be on the side of a bus that goes past you. You never know. But they will find a way to communicate with you that is comfortable for you. And when you are ready and you've dropped all the beliefs of they can't be real, it can't be possible, it doesn't exist, and all those other beliefs that keep everything away from us, when we drop all of that, then they will appear to you in a way that's comfortable for you, in a way that you can understand, in a way that you can accept. So keep asking, keep asking, keep asking them to come in, keep asking them for assistance. They're there, they want to assist us. They're not allowed to if we don't ask. And then after you ask, be open to however they appear, however that is. Maybe the next song on the radio has exactly the words that are the answer to the question you put to them. They speak to us all the time. It's just that we're not in tune with it. You know? We're not used to being in communication with them, but they speak to us all the time. And the moment you open up to receiving information, however that information comes, is when you'll have this opening for them to come through. And I think the third for me was not to have expectations of it needs to be this way or it needs to be that way. Because once you set expectations that it needs to look a certain way, the answers will come and you will miss them. Because you're too busy, thinking that it needs to look a certain way, that your spirit guides need to look a certain way, or how they communicate needs to look a certain way. So be open to however it's going to look. Set aside your ideas of how it's supposed to look or how it should look, and just allow the information to come through. All right, my darlings. So 1 is to ask, 2 is to allow them to come through, and 3 is to be open in the way of not having expectations. Just allow it to come through the way it needs to come through. They know you better than anyone else, so they will try to communicate to you in a way that makes sense to you and only you. They already know you. So how they communicate with your neighbor is going to be very different to how they communicate with you, or how they communicate with me, or how they communicate with your children. Everyone's different. So you ask, let them in, and then allow them to communicate in their own way. All right, my darlings? I love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And good luck with your spirit guides. But I'll make a meditation for you, okay? So that we can guide you towards them and have a lovely opening where they can start talking to you, and we'll see how we go from there, okay? All right. Bye for now.